Tony. You cannot afford a $17,000 bag.
But I worked hard for this bag. I deserve it. It's mine, and I'm not poor.
All right, no.
When Girlfriends premiered on UPN in 2000, it instantly stood out as one of the most refreshing and important sitcoms of its time. This series wasn't just funny, it was bold, honest, and unapologetically real. It followed the lives of 4 African-American women navigating careers, love, friendships, and identity in Los Angeles. While television was already filled with shows about friendship, friends and sex, and the city being the most obvious examples, Girlfriends gave audiences a perspective that had rarely been centered before. These weren't background characters or sidekicks. They were the stars of their own stories. At the heart of Girlfriends was Joan Clayton, played by Tracee Ellis Ross, a successful lawyer trying to balance her personal and professional life while keeping her group of friends together. Her circle included Tony Childs, Jill Marie Jones, the glamorous and outspoken real estate agent whose ambition often clashed with loyalty, Maya Wilkes, Golden Brooks, the quick-witted assistant juggling motherhood and marriage, and Lynn Searcy, Persia White, the bohemian free spirit who was both the comic relief and the philosophical anchor of the group. Together, their chemistry created a show that resonated deeply with audiences, especially Black women who finally saw reflections of their own struggles and triumphs on screen. But while Girlfriends thrived for 8 seasons, it didn't end the way it should have. Fans were left with an unfinished story, no proper finale, and a lingering bitterness about how a groundbreaking series could vanish so suddenly. When Mara Brock Akil created Girlfriends, she wanted to capture the real lives of Black women in their late 20s and early 30s, something television was ignoring. Audiences immediately connected with the series, and critics praised it for filling a void on TV. The characters were layered, flawed, and realistic. The show tackled issues such as interracial dating, financial struggles, divorce, and even colorism within the Black community. It wasn't afraid to push boundaries, and that honesty is what made it iconic. By season 3, the show had become a cornerstone of UPN's lineup and helped launch Mara Brock Akil into becoming one of the most influential Black female creators in Hollywood. One of the earliest turning points in the show came in season 6 when Jill Marie Jones, who played Tony Childs, left the series. Her exit was sudden, and fans were stunned. Tony was one of the most dynamic characters, funny, bold, and often the spark that drove storylines. Reports suggested that Jones left due to contract disputes and disagreements over salary, though she later clarified that she wanted to explore other opportunities. On screen, her departure was written into the story through a custody battle and a breakdown in her friendship with Joan. But off-screen, fans felt the chemistry of the group was never the same again. Losing Tony hurt the show, and though it continued for 2 more seasons, many believe it was the beginning of the end. In 2006, UPN and the WB merged to form the CW, and Girlfriends was among the shows that survived the transition. But the move came with challenges. The CW was a smaller network with less money to spend, and budget cuts began to impact the show's production. Viewers noticed smaller sets, fewer guest stars, and a shift in tone as the show struggled to maintain its earlier energy. Tracee Ellis Ross and the rest of the cast continued to deliver strong performances, but behind the scenes, there were whispers of exhaustion and frustration. After so many seasons, the actors wanted the show to end on a high note, with a proper finale that honored their journey. Unfortunately, that never came. By season 8, the cracks were showing. Ratings were slipping, and the CW was putting more of its resources into newer shows like Gossip Girl and 90210. But fans were still invested in Joan, Maya, and Lynn's journeys. Then came a particular scene, what many fans now consider the beginning of the end. In the final episodes filmed, Joan and Maya have an emotional moment about the future of their lives and friendships. It was a heartfelt conversation about change, growth, and moving forward, a scene that almost felt like a setup for the end. What fans didn't realize was that this scene would be one of the last times they'd see these women together on screen. Shortly afterward, the 2007 to 2008 Writers Guild of America strike hit Hollywood, halting production across the industry. Girlfriends was caught right in the middle. With budgets already strained, the CW decided not to resume production once the strike ended. The cast and crew were blindsided. The scene between Joan and Maya, originally meant to be just another step in the storyline, suddenly became the show's unintended swan song. There was no goodbye episode, no closure, no wedding for Joan, a storyline fans had been waiting on for years, and no reunion of the full group. The show was simply over. The sudden ending left fans furious. How could a show that had given 8 years of cultural relevance, humor, and groundbreaking representation not even get a proper finale? Viewers wrote letters, signed petitions, and begged for closure. Even Tracee Ellis Ross admitted in interviews that she was heartbroken the show didn't get the farewell it deserved. For many, that final heartfelt scene between Joan and Maya has become symbolic. Not because it was meant to be the ending, but because it accidentally became the last moment fans saw these characters, leaving a legacy that felt both powerful and incomplete. One of the most gut-wrenching storylines came with Maya Wilkes, played by Golden Brooks. Maya's marriage to Darnell was a pillar of the show, but cracks began to show as her character pursued higher education and personal growth. The divorce arc wasn't just played for drama. It became a reflection of the difficulties many women face when their ambitions clash with their partner's expectations. In one memorable scene, Maya pleads with Darnell to understand her growth, but he insists she's leaving behind the woman he first fell in love with. The pain in that moment was raw. Audiences saw not just a fictional couple breaking apart, but a real conversation about what happens when one partner evolves and the other resists. The scene struck such a nerve that fans still discuss it today. Yet, the show never truly brought resolution. By the time Maya and Darnell found their way back to each other, the series ended before audiences could fully see how their marriage recovered. That incomplete storyline remains one of the many frustrations fans carry. But no scene is as infamous among fans as Joan Clayton's almost wedding. For years, Joan's desperate search for love was one of the central arcs of the show. She was successful, ambitious, and caring, but her personal life was always in turmoil. Viewers rooted for her, and when she finally seemed close to finding her happily ever after, everyone was invested. In the later seasons, Joan was preparing to marry Aaron, and one episode showed her in a dramatic, emotional breakdown over her fears of commitment and the possibility of failure. The scene was both hilarious and heartbreaking. Tracee Ellis Ross brought such vulnerability that fans thought they were on the verge of seeing Joan's dream fulfilled. But the show ended before the wedding ever happened. Fans never got to see if Joan finally walked down the aisle. Instead, the last scene we saw of her was filled with questions and unfinished business. To this day, that moment is one of the biggest what-ifs in sitcom history. And there's Lynn Searcy, the quirky and free-spirited member of the group, brought a different kind of depth to the series. Her storylines often touched on identity, belonging, and purpose. One unforgettable scene explored her struggle with being biracial, particularly when she confronted feelings of not being fully accepted in either the Black or white community. In a poignant exchange with her friends, Lynn broke down as she admitted she often felt like an outsider, even within her own circle. This scene resonated deeply with viewers who shared similar struggles of navigating dual identities. But Lynn's arc, too, was left incomplete. Just as the show hinted at her finding direction, possibly through her music career, the cancellation cut off her journey. That powerful build-up toward her discovering who she truly was never got the payoff fans longed for. Long before Jill Marie Jones, Tony Childs, left the series, one of the most unforgettable scenes in Girlfriends history was the fiery fallout between Tony and Joan. Their friendship had always been complicated, filled with love but also envy, resentment, and betrayal. The boiling point came during a heated argument that exposed years of buried issues. Tony accused Joan of being judgmental and controlling, while Joan lashed out at Tony's selfishness. The emotional intensity of that scene stunned audiences. It was raw, messy, and brutally honest, exactly what real-life friendships sometimes become. But the fallout ended with Tony walking away, and while the show tried to keep moving without her, fans never got a scene where the two reconciled. For a series built on friendship, the fact that Joan and Tony never shared a final moment of healing left a gaping hole in the story. One of the earlier defining scenes in Girlfriends came when Maya revealed her unexpected pregnancy. The moment wasn't just a shocking twist. It opened the door to conversations about young motherhood, financial pressures, and the sacrifices women make. The rawness of Maya's reaction, torn between joy and fear, created one of the series' most talked about moments. It was relatable for so many women watching at home, who saw their own struggles mirrored on screen. While Maya's journey as a mother remained an ongoing theme, the show's abrupt ending left her story of balancing family, education, and personal ambition only half finished. The reason fans still feel shortchanged isn't just that Girlfriends ended. It's that these powerful storylines were abandoned midstream. Each scene carried big weight, from Joan's almost wedding to Maya's divorce, Lynn's self-discovery, and Tony's fallout. These weren't just sitcom gags. They were milestones in character development. Instead of closure, fans were left with open wounds. Scenes that should have been followed by redemption, healing, or growth were instead frozen in time, cut off by budget constraints and a network unwilling to give the show the send-off it deserved. And yet, in a strange way, maybe that unfinished nature is part of why Girlfriends endures. Those cliffhangers and unresolved arcs live rent-free in fans' minds, sparking conversations, debates, and even petitions decades later. The absence of resolution has kept the show alive in ways few sitcoms manage. But the hidden truth behind why these stories were never finished, and why the show wasn't given the dignity of a finale, runs deeper than just a writer's strike or budget issues. It's tied to how Hollywood valued, or failed to value, a show that represented a powerful voice for Black women on TV. And that's where the conversation gets even more explosive. Yet the beauty of this cast is that they didn't fade into the background once the cameras stopped rolling. In fact, nearly all of them carved out new paths in Hollywood and beyond, building legacies that stretched far beyond UPN and the CW. Let's take a look at where the stars of Girlfriends are today. Tracee Ellis Ross, who played Joan Clayton, the glue that held the Girlfriends together, went on to become one of the most recognizable faces on television. After Girlfriends, her biggest role came in 2014 when she starred as Rainbow Johnson on Blackish. The show was a critical and commercial success, running for 8 seasons and earning Tracee a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a television series. She also received multiple Emmy nominations, making her one of the most decorated women in comedy. But Tracee didn't just stick to acting. She became a powerful voice in fashion and beauty, launching her hair care brand, Pattern Beauty, in 2019, designed to celebrate and support natural curls and textures. The business has grown into a multi-million-dollar empire, further cementing her influence. Tracee has also continued to use her platform to advocate for diversity and inclusion in Hollywood, making her not just a sitcom star but a cultural icon. Golden Brooks, who brought to life the witty, sarcastic, and ambitious Maya Wilkes, continued to work in television after Girlfriends ended. She appeared in series like Heart of Dixie, Blunt Talk, and In the Cut. In 2019, she reunited with Tracee Ellis Ross, Persia White, and Jill Marie Jones on Blackish in a special episode that gave fans a nostalgic glimpse of their Girlfriends' chemistry. Golden has also explored independent films and even reality TV, joining the cast of BET's Hollywood Divas. Outside of acting, she has kept a relatively private life, focusing on raising her daughter, Dakota. While she may not headline major shows today, her role as Maya continues to resonate with fans who saw themselves in her struggles and triumphs. Persia White, who played the eccentric, bohemian Lynn Searcy, embraced a career as both an actress and a musician. After Girlfriends, she became known for her recurring role as Abby Bennett Wilson on the hit supernatural series The Vampire Diaries. The role introduced her to a new generation of fans and showed her range as an actress. Beyond acting, Persia has pursued music, releasing an album titled Mecca in 2009. Her sound, soulful, alternative, and experimental, reflects the same creative spirit Lynn carried on the show. In her personal life, Persia found love on the set of The Vampire Diaries, marrying actor Joseph Morgan, who played Klaus Michelson. The two have become something of a fan-favorite couple, admired for their chemistry both on and off screen. Jill Marie Jones' departure in season 6 left fans heartbroken, but the actress herself continued to find work in both film and television. She went on to star in shows like Sleepy Hollow, Ash vs. Evil Dead, and Monogamy. Jill has a reputation for playing bold, confident, and sometimes complicated women, traits she perfected while playing Tony. Though she left Girlfriends early, Jill has often spoken warmly about her time on the show and even reunited with her castmates in the 2019 Blackish episode. Fans still wonder what Tony's storyline might have been had Jill stayed until the end, but Jill's career has proven she can hold her own in any role. Reggie Hayes, who played William Dent, the lovable, nerdy lawyer who became the honorary 5th member of the friend group, experienced ups and downs after Girlfriends. He made guest appearances on shows like Castle and Criminal Minds, but he struggled financially in the years after the sitcom ended. In 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Reggie opened up about facing health issues and living in temporary housing. However, his honesty earned him a wave of support from fans who grew up watching him. More recently, he has appeared on Black Lightning and is slowly rebuilding his presence in Hollywood. For many viewers, William remains one of the most beloved sitcom characters of the 2000s. Khalil Kain stepped in to play Darnell, Maya's husband, after Flex Alexander left the role. Outside of Girlfriends, Khalil is known for his breakout role in the 1992 film Juice alongside Tupac Shakur. After the sitcom ended, he continued working in television, appearing in Moesha, The Division, and films like The Killing of Wendy. Khalil has kept a low profile in recent years, focusing on family and other creative pursuits. Still, his work as Darnell remains one of his most recognizable roles, especially among Girlfriends fans who loved his chemistry with Golden Brooks. Before Khalil Kain took over, Flex Alexander originated the role of Darnell. He left Girlfriends early on but went on to star in his own sitcom, One-on-One, which became a hit on UPN. Afterward, he appeared in several TV movies and stand-up comedy specials. Though not as active in Hollywood today, Flex remains a respected name in Black television history, remembered fondly for his contributions to both Girlfriends and One-on-One.